Welcome to the War Council. I'm Dan.
I'm Veri.
I'm Rogue.
Pipsqueek.
Seamus.
And we're going to be talking more about Age of Sigmar and the rules and the application that we just downloaded on our tablets and phones.
I didn't just download it, I've had it.
Okay, downloaded it like a week ago because we're lame.
Downloaded with just enough time to actually review it for your listening pleasure. Ear pleasure.
Ear pleasure? Yes.
Oh, ear pleasure.
Can we not go there?
Yeah, it's happened.
It has happened now.
Focus.
So, I don't have any real big problems with the app other than some of the wording choices as we found.
And issues with keywords being in the wrong place.
That really is definitely kind of the big one.
Prince Imric has Karl Franz as weapons.
What?
Because, well, you got to admit, though, it would kind of appeal to, like, the heavy metal crowd to think of a guy on a dragon wielding Galmaraz, right? Just flying in and whacking around orcs.
I'm pretty
Whack
sure
out
it's
the
just
orcs?
an error.
I mean, our favorite, though, is the Plague Bearers.
Our
The
favorite
Plague Bears,
definitely-
who are apparently tree managements right now.
Yeah, we should let our resident demon player tell us
go on.
what exactly plague bearers are, apparently.
We are, well, all you Nurgle fans. Supposedly, Nurgle decided to get it on with cements, and that's how you get plague bearers.
Yes.
It's totally not having the Nurgle rot and then your soul turns into a plague bearer. Oh no, tree beard and a great unclean one decided to get it on.
Either that or they just updated it this very second.
Right.
Because
You
apparently-
just ruined my childhood by...
So this is I think is the
Tree
problem.
beard
You're welcome.
So we've got an issue here, and this is actually another big problem, is there are issues on the iOS version that aren't on the Android version, and vice versa, because on the iOS version, the Plague Bearers of Nurgle look perfectly normal.
But when I look at it on my phone, my Android phone, it says all the wrong stuff. Order,
Wait.
Sylvaneth, Monster, Wizard, Tree Lord.
It's only on the iOS.
Plague Bears.
So, that's only on the iOS tablet version. My phone still says the same thing on the iOS phone version. Rogue?
I definitely had issues with the layout, because looking through the war scrolls, trying to figure things out, I tried to download things and put them in the My Battle list, and I got really confused, because I felt like the name should be under where the model is, and it's not, it's on top. So I was downloading all the wrong things while going through making my battle list.
Yeah, I saw that too. Is like, if you're not paying attention, you're used to the name on underneath, not on top.
Am I the only one who didn't have a problem with this?
Yeah,
I
definitely
did
possible.
that. Yeah.
I pushed a little button that looks like a cloud with the arrow down underneath the picture of what I wanted, because
See,
that
we
makes sense to me.
We liked the pretty picture.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
wanted to click the pretty picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, they made a big deal about this, making this going to be easy, and this is all going to be, they made a big deal about how this app was really going to change how we do it, and there's a lot of good things about it, but it was a little disappointing to just be like, oh, well, okay, this is kind of important, because the keywords identify who can cast particular spells or do particular things.
Yeah.
Well, and we're still missing their supposed balance mechanic that was supposed to be a thing once we had this app.
I mean, it's supposed to be in there, but it might be in a book for tournaments. I don't know. We're waiting on that. It's Saturday the 25th. All we got today was 2 new units that were from the starter box.
That's right, we basically got Vanguard veterans and Stern Guard veterans, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, it was they were Age of Sigmar, my bad.
Yeah. They're pretty much. I mean, but we still have no.
They had bolters. I mean, bolt stormers.
Bolt stormers. Yes. Well, they're Sigmarines.
They truly are.
They have large pauldrons, enough said.
This is true.
They're high level now.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But yeah, I mean, it is nobody's doubting at this point that the Sigmarines are definitely supposed to be precisely that, right? Big, heavy armored, big round bases. I mean, seriously, did you see the bolt weapons that they had?
Yeah.
They look just like bolters.
It's essentially if you had an army of Terminators.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I get it. I can see the allure of an army of Terminators.
It sounds awesome, but I would like to see I would like to see the corn stuff come out.
Well, supposedly coming down the pipeline is going to be more chaos. Like,
Zinch is coming in August, my friends. Soon there will be a change of ways. At least that's what Pipsqueek tells me from Bell of Lost Souls.
yes,
Yes.
it's just cruising around Bell of Lost Souls and Daka Daka. That seems to be, however much Bell of Lost Souls seems to brown nose the ever living hell out of out of GW. Their rumors tend to be relatively somewhat in the realm of accurate. So supposedly Zinch is what's coming next, which is a little disappointing for the resident Ginger. But
Hey, you know what? I'm all about the chaos. Well, we have 3 chaos players sitting here right now.
this is very true. Now that my
Oh yeah, you count as chaos now.
that's right, my little
Yeah.
rat people. So
Little organized people. Well, you were destruction.
I will, and I might be. We'll see what happens. Leaning towards the Duarden. Sorry, not dwarves. And not elves. Elves.
Elves.
because they're redneck elves. Where are the elves?
Coming soon to a table near you.
There's the dragon princes are going to be riding in on the backs of trucks. Sitting in their Illyrian Reavers on 4-wheelers.
All battle standards will be replaced by Confederate flags.
With
You
redneck,
guys, don't even diss my army.
with redneck trees at the ready. Am I right, folks?
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, that's a good question since that's what you intend to play. I mean, they haven't really given anything outside of Sigmarines much thought. What do you hope to see coming for the elves,
Yeah.
or do you want them to stay approximately the same?
Well, they wiped the floor with your Skaven.
Oh, it was so painful.
So
it
I
was
feel
so
like
bad.
they're doing pretty well.
Oh, you know, we should talk about like the rules you use, because you guys use alternate rules, and we
Yes.
tried alternate.
We did, and that's what we really wanted to try and talk about a bunch today. So we tried 2 different alternate rule sets. Do you want to let everybody know what those were?
I want you to tell me about the ones you used.
Not actual alternate rule sets, though. The rules are still the rules. It was
They're
balancing.
Balancing,
addendums.
yeah.
Balancing,
They're
yeah.
addendums,
Addendums, yeah.
basically.
So we used, Rogue and I used some balancing mechanics that had come up from a wargaming shop in Louisville. And basically the idea was kind of to simulate sort of like the War Machine thing, where it was very, like the points values are very small, right? Things didn't cost 10 or 12 points at a time. They would cost, 1 point for 10 or 2 points for something. And we, for the most part, seemed to like it, but we did have some issues with it, right?
We did. We played what was... they go by battle type, and they called this one a skirmish, and so they had a certain... They break it down by... can have a certain amount of hero points and a certain amount of regular
Dudes.
lost it.
Monsters or War Machines.
No,
total units.
yes, okay.
Max units.
To be clear,
Wow.
for anybody who might want to look at this, where would we find these rules?
We can link it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll put a link in. We can put a link in the description.
There'll be links in the description for any of the rules we have. Except, I don't know if the mini wargaming rules are online anywhere. It was just in a video.
We can link to the video.
I'll link to the video.
I
Yeah,
found it on Reddit at one point.
So.
it might be on Reddit. But yeah, go on with what you're talking about, and we'll move on to the other one.
Yeah, so we just played a really quick game, and my only concern, being someone who has literally never played Warhammer, ever, this was my first game. I'd had my elves for a little over a year, but I'd really only painted them. This was my first game, and so just kind of trying to jump in, it was difficult to figure out exactly what they meant when they're talking about the points for your units, and it was confusing to me because it just says the unit name and then 1 for 5 on certain ones, or 1 for 1, or 1 for 10. It doesn't clarify which one is supposed to be the amount of guys you get and which one is supposed to be the amount of points for that many guys. So it was trial and error for a while. We kind of had to figure out exactly what that meant.
Yeah.
Right, and there was another clarity issue that I had with it. We'll get to the good stuff because it actually was a pretty good system.
It was, yeah.
But the other clarity issue that I had was they try to balance out the number of heroes you can have and how many points they can be worth. So, like for example, in the skirmish game, you could have 3 total units. You could have up to 1 point worth of heroes. So in bigger games, you could have, like, let's say 3 points worth of heroes, right? So you could take 1 3-point hero, 3 1-point heroes. You can split that up however you want. But do your heroes count towards your unit total? Because when we played a game, it was literally, my force was literally my Skaven, Chieftain, my big unit of clan rats, and a poison wind mortar. And that was it, because the max units for that was 3. But I didn't know if my hero counted toward that quota. I had taken a unit of 20 clan rats instead of 30 and added another 1-point unit. So there are some language clarity issues, but I felt like And I feel like for a short guy, I'm big for saying this, since I totally got completely rolled. I did feel like I got rolled because, I didn't perform all that well, not because the rule set wasn't balanced.
Well, and the rule set, I mean, frankly, and how balanced, it's not even like how clear does it need to be it was made by a bunch of guys over the Wargaming Club?
Exactly.
Yeah. When GW makes mistakes, we look at them and be like, you guys are professionals. Well, seriously, what the hell? When a gaming club makes some unclear statements, I get it.
I forgot. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
I'm so sorry.
I
just like, I just had it.
Well, I got totally rolled.
Okay, but I rolled well. It had nothing to do with the rules. It had everything to do with the fact that I rolled extremely well.
No, but I did. One of the things I did, I want to talk about one of the good things here from the game, since balance is one of the big things we keep talking about, and also strategy within the wargaming. For example, she got right up in my face. She had Lothern Seaguard and Illyrian Reavers. And she got them right up in my face and then didn't charge me with the Illyrian Reavers at the bottom of turn 1, and thinking like an old Warhammer player, thinking that, I'm going to take over at the beginning of turn 2, I didn't make a big deal of it. I was like, well, why didn't you charge me with your Reavers? That doesn't make any sense. She won the initiative, and so they got a whole other round of shooting at me that was just vicious.
Well, and that was honestly my beef with the general, because that's Age of Sigmar rules, and that was kind of my issue because I think you ended up going first, and then the second turn I got to go first. So I got 2 turns in a row, and I feel like that was probably the only reason why I beat you.
It's easily my biggest beef with Age of Sigmar right now. I've played 3 games so far, and I've lost initiative like that on 2 out of 3 games, and it sucks. And I get from the perspective of somebody who got that initiative, that must be nice, except I don't know, it seems cheap.
It seems like it's...
I get it. I mean, I totally understand where it comes from, but at the same time, it feels like it could be better.
That's it. When we played our games, Pipsqueek, we forgot about that rule.
We did.
But honestly, I actually like it without the initiative rule. It feels like you don't have to do any extra rolling. I know it seems like the chaos of battle, but I actually like not having to roll for initiative every single turn.
See, and I disagree. And the reason why, and I feel like this is going to be a contentious rule, and some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it, with the loss of things like flank charges and rear charges and some of the other strategy elements, they had to look for mechanics to build in different types of strategy. That's one of them. I thought like an old Warhammer player, and if I had thought differently and set things up a little differently, maybe I would have done better. It adds another wrinkle of strategy. It's going to be a contentious rule. And I get that, and I understand, because being on the receiving end of that is going to suck. But I also think it's going to be mitigated when we play bigger games.
Well, and especially with the bigger games, I think, as long as we remember, because this is something we didn't know in the first couple games that I played anyway, is that combat isn't always decided by the player whose turn it is, like it is in Old Fantasy and 40k. It goes, the player whose turn it is picks a combat, and that combat fights. And it alternates between which fight happens where. So, I mean, especially if you've got a couple of really important combats, it kind of levels it off a little bit. I mean, I still think it's a little heavily skewed in the favor of whoever wins initiative, but that does help.
But it looks particularly bad when we had 3 units on the table, so there was one combat going on. So when she got 2 turns in a row, it was exacerbated. Mm-hmm. But so in little games, it's probably going to be more. Are you laughing at exacerbated?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
are you having a problem with my mastication?
I don't have a problem with your mastication. I just wish you wouldn't do it in front of me.
All right, so I feel like our final verdict. Sorry, we don't want to dominate the whole thing. Our final verdict. I was pretty happy with the Louisville Wargaming rules. There were some clarity issues, but the balance seemed pretty good.
I actually would agree with that. I feel like it was, someone who is a first timer. It was really easy for me to pick up with someone holding my hand through it. I mean, I was sitting in our room trying to figure out exactly what the rules meant, and I just got so lost. But I feel like having someone who kind of understands what the heck is going on is really easy. So
it does. I mean, any game when you're first starting out, you're gonna need someone out. I mean, it sounds like the rules were not that bad.
No.
I mean, it sounds a little bit better than the mini wargaming rules, a little bit.
Well, and I picked it up probably 10 minutes into our first game. Mm-hmm. I picked all the rules up. It was pretty simple.
And we're just talking about Age of Sigmar in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, I mean, she picked up the Louisville Wargaming rules pretty quickly as well, but that was mostly just for list building. There are some summoning rules that they include, which we'll talk about summoning a little later in the podcast. But yeah,
We didn't have to deal with that though.
But we didn't have to deal with that because it was High Elves and Skaven, and I didn't even bring a spellcaster.
Yeah.
So
I mean, on a different note of going into the mini wargame rules of wounds plus attacks times bravery, and then double that if it's a war machine or a monster, is a little bit bogged down.
It is. Well, and it seems to be built more for people who are really familiar with wargaming. The Louisville wargaming system was really easy for somebody who'd never touched a wargame before to pick right up.
Well, it matched Age of Sigmar. In ease.
Whereas...
And then this requires math.
Back to Math Hammer, right?
Math Hammer. Well, not like difficult math though.
No.
It does make the points values mirror old Warhammer.
Yes.
Way closer. I mean, like, what was it? When Nagash worked out to like 400 some odd.
My Rat Ogres were 45 points apiece.
Which sounds about right, but the thing is, it's not entirely accurate. I mean, you, Dan, Veri, you guys were the ones who played that game, right?
We played that. Pipsqueek played it. It's like also thinking they didn't include in there what happens if you have a unit that has random attacks.
Yeah, they didn't include that when we talked about it.
No, I'm pretty sure you automatically assume the highest attack value.
See, because when we did it, what did we do? Veri, do you remember what we did when we said for random attacks? Because we came up with our own rule because we didn't see it with them, with Mini Wargaming. Do you remember what we had done for random attacks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we took whatever was the middle of it, and then I think we rounded up so a D6 would become 4 attacks.
Right, it was the average, which for a D6 would be 4.
Yeah, the mid ground, and then the only other thing would be the creatures that have attacks based on wounds. Can't remember. I don't have one off the top of my head. I think Nagash might have that.
Attacks based on wounds?
Yeah, like
Anybody
big monsters.
Monster.
Yeah, any big monsters.
Yeah, the big boys.
Though it does, as a Skaven player, immediately talk to the first problem that I had with the Mini Wargaming rules: rattling guns. So anybody who plays Skaven knows your rattling guns, which are very, very nasty, but they are not. So I couldn't take the rattling guns. I didn't in either of our games because it's 2d6 attacks, and I mean they don't hit very well. They're not terribly effective, but it's a lot of attacks, and so it jacks up their points cost.
Right. And especially assuming the maximum for attacks, that's 12. That's
well, and I can roll to make it 4d6. How does that play into those rules?
Again, you assume the maximum, right?
Yeah.
So always assume
24.
So 24 times how many plus how many wounds times bravery? Well, the Skaven have like no bravery.
Yeah.
Bravery 1.
Yeah. Bravery, we're leaving now.
Bravely,
Did you just say bravely?
Bravely,
So do we want to talk about the games that we played?
Yeah.
So I have to say, in regards to the MWG point system, because I only played one game, and I noticed right off the bat, because like someone who was tired and silly, I decided to take one big unit and one tiny unit, not the most strategically efficient. And I noticed something with the larger creatures. For this example, it was Bloab Rotspawn from the Warriors of Chaos. Now, he, according to the MDW rules, he's going to have his wounds plus his attacks times his bravery, and then he's a monster, so you're going to times that by 2. And you look at that and you're thinking, okay, that's about fair. But the problem is, if you look with the big creatures throughout Age of Sigmar, they get weaker as they take more wounds. Now, this mechanic, I think personally, is fantastic, because I think that it allows for more cinematic opportunities. I just imagine that the flesh is falling off, they're weaker, there's a spear in the head maybe. It's interesting, thematic, and cinematic moments.
You're making Seamus want to vomit over here.
Nurgle's is foul. I mean, obviously.
But the problem is, with that point system, all of a sudden, I mean, now, don't get me wrong, demons with summoning that we'll talk later really abuse this point system and method. But if you don't do summoning, like we technically didn't do that game, you all of a sudden fall way below the points values, but you didn't lose anything.
Right.
And I think that in a different system, maybe like the Louisville, that would have been a much more effective means of it.
Yeah. It does sound like it would be a little more effective there. I'd like to try those rules out next chance we get.
What? Here, Rogue is bringing up the summoning rules. They're, it's last...
Oh, they have those in there.
They have rules for summoning in that.
Yeah. But there are some summoning rules in here. It's one more page back. There we go. So here, Rogue has got the summoning rules here that they had for the Louisville one.
All of those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for summoning rules, looks like they've got a few of them. Any unit summoned onto the table comes in at the minimum value listed on their scroll unless otherwise indicated. Unless specified by the spell, summoning only allows the summoning entity to bring on other units, not heroes or monsters. Entities that can summon may only summon forth a number of scrolls equal to their points values at any given time. For example, a 3-point caster could summon and maintain 3 active units on the table at most. Once a unit is destroyed, the caster could summon another unit so long as the total number of summoned entities did not exceed 3.
And I can tell you, if you've read those Demon War Scrolls, if you don't take advantage of those rules that Rogue just read, it gets insane.
Oh,
Absolutely nuts.
Our first game, you played demons, and you went with the summoning, and I think it was you had.
And I went pretty light, considering what you can do in that game.
Turn 2, it was a very clear victor for you. Obviously, you had a bunch of stuff on the table. The only thing I had killed were some Flamers of Tzeentch, which you had resummoned. It was...
Yeah. So that brings up, because it says no heroes, so it sounds like from the base rules, because me and Veri were talking about summoning Kairos Fate Reaver via a Lord of Change.
Because GW decided to put Lord of Change in his subtype, and we all agreed they need an FAQ for this stat, because if you read the Lord of Change summon rule, unlike Plague Bearers or Demonettes or any of that where they say a unit of or models of, it just says Lord of Change.
Right. Which is, rules as written technically could be Kairos.
Yeah.
I think it really has to come down to the, Wheaton's Law, right? Don't be a dick.
Of course. We're all good friends. We're not going to do that. But if you're meeting some random Joe, Tom, Dick, or Jane at the game store, and they can then be like, well, yeah, I can summon that.
Well, because that's as a long-time fantasy player is what I've most looked forward to with this is the ability, because before with fantasy, as we said in the last podcast, you couldn't just walk into a store because nobody played. Now, I don't want to walk into the store and just be like, nobody plays, because there's the one person who's going to come with the 12, Lords of Change or whatever that they bought, to just be like, boop, 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 okay, game over. And so that's why I'm hoping that they put out for tournament rules, because I know they haven't yet. I know they said they do it with the app. I'm sure they will get around to putting out some sort of tournament thing, which hopefully will balance that out a little bit. Because this really works well for the kind of setting we've played in so far with a bunch of friends just hanging out. But I really do want to be able to go into our local game store and just be like, hey, look, I've got my Skaven, let's play a game, and not have to worry about getting auto-rolled.
I don't think that's actually really an issue, though. The balance rules need to happen, but they need to happen for average friendly games where people will generally be friendly, just kind of as a helpful guideline. Let's face it, if that one dick does come into the store frequently, nobody's just going to play with him. It happens. We've seen it at our local game stores, right? That guy walks in and we go, yeah, you're not getting a game today. Sorry, dude.
Right.
Well, it's the same. It's the same for new players, though, because you might think, oh, wow, this is really cool and really powerful. I'm going to do really awesome things with that. And then you don't understand. Like, for me, my first instinct was just to be like, oh, this is so neat. But without that balancing there, like we had with the Louisville rules, I wouldn't have understood, okay, well, that's kind of a jerk move. I can't just play that way because it's mean.
Right. No amount of balancing whatsoever. No amount of balancing is going to be perfect.
No.
But no amount of balancing is going to stop the dick from being...
Yeah, sure.
No, it won't at all, but with the rules that stand, someone will think, okay, one model looks really awesome, it's not too expensive to buy, Soul Grinders. Say someone goes and buys 5 Soul Grinders, that's all they buy. They put 5 Soul Grinders on the table. They go against someone who's just been buying up Clan Rats. That person who has Clan Rats is probably very, very sad at the end of the day.
I don't know, Clan Rats are just meant to die.
But that's all you brought. That's all you brought.
Seriously, Skaven, they just sleep on beds of dead Clan Rats. So.
Especially since, according to the sudden death rules, that Soul Grinder can use sudden death victory conditions.
Which we should talk about that. The game that we played, the sudden death rule, worked because we used the mini wargaming rules for the game that we played, but we still used the sudden death thing because I very handily outnumbered you, and it was. Actually, I thought it was literally the game was decided on the end of turn 4 by one roll. So it was so close, we literally just called it a tie. Like, it was really, really good. It balanced out well that way.
Well, didn't you two accidentally make a mistake with the sudden death? The terrain piece was in the wrong deployment zone?
Yeah,
did we?
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
Remember,
okay.
it was like, you're supposed to be
That's right. Yeah. So, but regardless, it still ended up working out really, really well. I felt we had a really, really good game. And yeah, you learned some things. I learned some things about what to do with my army. But in the end, I love games where it's like it came down to the last turn that he had to succeed, and it was literally precisely one roll that decided the game. That's how you know it's close.
Exactly. I mean, when we first looked at sudden death, we're like, "Oh man, that's a terrible idea." But now, after seeing it in action, because I saw it in your game, I was like, "Wait, that's perfect." I still don't like the idea of picking. I like the idea of a random, like a deep rolls for it instead. But I'd like to. We could try that and see if it works.
Well, and the more I play this game, I have to admit, I was really reticent coming into playing Age of Sigmar, and the more I've played it, the more I'm starting to see the potential. Because things like that work really well. I've got this idea for it, especially considering two of the people I play against play High Elves. I've got an idea for a narrative game, and it fits really well with the mechanics they've set up. Because I love the idea of desperate defenses and things like. Because don't get me wrong, Warhammer, 8th edition fantasy was fun. So all the editions of fantasy I played were fun. But all the games kind of end up feeling like they were approximately the same. They line up across from each other. Everybody runs towards each other and does their own thing. Where dudes. But in this you can start to see sort of the narrative things. I love the idea of, these plague bearers just desperately holding on to this one little shrine of Nurgle or something as these clan rats try to pour over them, holding on to it until the very last moment before, some great unclean one or something mopped the floor with them, which I imagine is what happened next.
They're highborn elves.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, right.
I feel like that's a contradiction in terms of what we've described as ale.
But remember, he's Pipsqueek, so we're actually...
Pipsqueak?
Peace.
Okay, you might want to get that checked.
Pipsqueek?
Peace squeak.
I feel like there's a Pipsqueek.
Squeak.
Why are you squealing like a pig?
All right,
Or
so
like a
What just
fan-girl
happened?
that
Moving on.
the segue has gone off. Though I do think
Yeah.
talking about the plague bearers, it's probably a good segue for us to talking about demons and summoning.
Well, yeah, that's what we were getting
But
into.
haven't we kind of been discussing?
That's what we've
I
been
guess
talking
that's what
about.
we've been talking
Yeah,
about.
it's like that's why I brought it up. Summoning's fun, but in the basic rules, the demon's gonna be
Totally broken.
Yeah, the demon player's gonna go. Some summoner in the back, 2 units of something. One like plague bearers and bloodletters. Those guys march forward. Next turn, he goes and summons the next set, and the next turn he summons the next set. Just like alternate back and forth if he wants to.
Well, if you're not Tzeentch, it kind of balances out because if you say you're Khorne, you can't do it at all.
Cool.
If you're Slaanesh, very difficult to do. If you're Nurgle, there's 2 units that can summon. And even then, if you're facing Skaven or Orcs or someone that comes right at you, they have to be within 14 inches of your caster, and it can't be within 9 inches of the opponent. Okay. So if someone goes blah, 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 and gets in your face, all of a sudden you literally can't summon. Now, but I will say this, though. If you are Tzeentch summoners, though, that's where I will say, yes, it is very broken.
Well, especially because I feel like the best... Because when I first was hearing about the summoning, I was just like, oh, well, they've changed how infiltrating things like that work now. I can get my gutter runners in your face real fast. If it's a little squishy wizard, that's probably not going to be a huge issue. If it's a greater demon, my gutter runners are probably not going to be able to throwing star a greater demon to death.
No. But the reason why I think it's fair, the Nurgle one can only cast a spell. Mm-hmm. And he has the Great Unclean One has a very fun spell. So if you decide to use that on summoning Plague Bearers, you don't get to use his fun plague thing that deals mortal wounds, and you don't get to use Plague Wound. No. So the reason I think with Tzeentch it's broken is mainly because of the Lord of Change and subsequently Kairos' role, Master of Magic sub-role.
Right.
Where if you do not know what it is, players, you roll 2d6 and you take whatever the highest value of your die is, you make the other dice that value.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Anything, it was the worst.
And the Lord of Change's command ability gives all Tzeentch wizards a +1 to their rolls. And if you're Kairos, again, it's a silly little roll, but for those D-bag players, if they say the name of the spell backwards, they get another +2.
Yeah.
So
So you know there's some idiot out there sitting in his mother's basement learning the name
Practicing.
of all of the spells backwards. But someone's out there memorizing it with their Coke bottle glasses and their beard.
but
Yeah.
It's hard to you,
considering
man.
considering the basic dudes only require a 6, and you'll see where they say, oh, you need an 11 or more and you get twice the amount. If you're a Lord Changer Kairos, you kind of giggle at that. You're like, I'm a much larger chance. It's more than half.
Right,
And
exactly.
if you have the demon cohort of Zinch, now they can all cast an additional spell. And even the demon princes and the pink horrors can cast spells. So now instead of like what Dan was saying, where you have one dude in the back casting, everyone is casting.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going with the simple, like, non-douche route, like, the simple way.
Well, and even just putting the, we're going to take the douche and we're going to put it away for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, again, imagine somebody who just starts gaming and just goes, yes, that's right, we're putting the douche away.
You're safe now.
I didn't know it was out in the first place.
But I mean, it's still. I mean, the Zinch models are really cool looking. You're new to the game. You go, cool. I'm gonna get. I've got a little bit of cash in my pocket. I'm gonna get some of these. Pink horrors. I'm gonna get this stuff. Hey, this is a cool rule set. We're gonna try this out. I'm not just assuming that it's gonna be people who are being nasty necessarily. It's just gonna be people who like that style of play, and they're gonna play their models to the best of their ability.
Well, in the Age of Sigmar rules don't discourage multiple heroes, as far as I know. And so, if you're a High Elf player, I mean, there are quite a few pretty nasty people you can take.
I mean, the Age of Sigmar rules don't discourage anything.
Well,
And
that's what I'm saying.
GW has been pushing we're not a game company, we're a model company who happens to make a game. That's been their deal. They want to make quality models and sell quality models, and the rules are always an afterthought. Which, with Age of Sigmar, hey, at least they're being honest. Yeah, this is just a thing that we're doing, but the models are what we're making. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think they're leaving it up to tournaments. Right now, local tournaments are going to be they're going to do their own rules or pull from somebody else.
So will game stores.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure game stores will.
They're going to until GW or someone who they give authority to, if they have some other organization do it for them, will form the rules for them. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'd love to see some good tournaments, like everyone else here seems. I'd like to see some decent some rules to make it so I can go, hey, we're going to play an X amount of points game. And you go, okay, start building your list.
Right, because we talked at length in the last podcast about how the same number of models, you're going to take 20 demigriffs, I'm going to take 20 clan rats, and that's an equal game. There's a problem with that.
20 chosen versus 20 marauders.
We don't talk about chosen.
Well, and it's okay. I'll survive. And GW has actually come out and I mean, because there was that guy at the Forge World guy, right, out at the various cons and the like, and he came out and he said, yeah, no, we're gonna do something for tournaments. No, we're not doing points. Because GW's thing is not, they don't want you to come to the table with like, hey, let's do this many points. I'll bring my army, you bring them. They want you to bring your collection and just work out a game. And I don't know if that's a good idea, but that is obviously what they're pushing for.
Right.
The people who played Fantasy will know what to bring. It's gonna be a little bit hard for the new players. I'm new to the Fantasy realm. I've been only playing 40k. Whereas Seamus and Pipsqueek have been playing Fantasy for aeons.
Well, and that's really exactly the reason for the balance. I mean, so when in the first week right after the rules came out, it was Dan, Veri, Pipsqueek, and I all got together and we all played different games. And I played a game with each of them. And my game against Veri, I mean, it was his first time playing demons, and he thought of them more like 40k demons and less like fantasy demons, and he just rolled over me. My game against Dan, same kind of thing. He didn't know that Chosen were essentially just badass warriors, so he took a bunch of those and rolled right over me. My game against Pipsqueek, I mean, he's been playing fantasy with me for years, so he comes to the table with a relatively balanced list. I come to the table with a relatively balanced list. If you know your army, and you know your opponent's army, you'll be okay. It's the balance is there for folks who just don't know. It's new, or for all the new stuff as it comes out.
Yeah, well, that's all the new stuff too. It'll be nice to see one day.
You getting tired of Sigmarines?
I'd like to see. I just want to see something different.
Yeah, they're pretty models, but they're a little
Samey?
yeah,
Yeah.
a little samey. Which, that's fine. You get the idea that that's kind of what they wanted to do with this particular faction. You look at the corn stuff and it doesn't look quite so samey, so I have hope that they're not going to do that with everything.
Yeah,
What do you think, like, Space Marines, you compare it, because, again, they're just Space Marines in fantasy. But you look at them, Space Marines are all samey across the board, too. We just give them a pass because
They're Space Marines.
it's always been that way, right? This is new, but it's just Space Marines. Of course
Yeah.
they look samey. They're Space Marines.
Yeah, they are the Sigmarines.
That's okay. I can forgive Age of Sigmar for anything at this point because they made Rat Ogres relevant. Rat Ogres, the Terminators of the poor forgotten Terminators of my Skaven that were so overpriced and useless, and I can
Trolls
use
might
them
be
now.
useful again.
Yeah, they might be. I'll have to try it
So
out.
somebody's gonna go trolling, I guess.
They see me trolling.
Trolling. They hate.
Oh my god, you're gonna leave that in, aren't you?
Oh, everything's it.
Oh my god.
Everything stays. This whole thing is going to be on there.
Apparently
It's gonna be
Absolutely.
Apparently, we're gonna keep the douche in.
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
No, we already put the douche away.
We did
buddy.
put the douche away.
Leave the douche away.
But it is really fun to see models that were not so relevant anymore kind of get going. Because I did have a wonderful experience of a couple of Rat Ogres rolling through a unit of Bloodletters, which was really cathartic for somebody who's slaved away with terrible Rat
Oh.
Ogres forever.
That lightning cannon.
Oh, the Warp Lightning Cannon. Well, that was good in the last edition, too. I just didn't... But
I
again...
feel like if that had actually worked in the game that we had played, you would have devastated me.
That's
Yeah.
the wonderful thing. That is the wonderful, wonderful thing about Skaven, and the thing they have definitely kept. All of my things can still blow themselves up.
It didn't
So-
blow itself up. It just didn't do anything.
It just didn't do anything. But no, I had my rattling thing blow itself up in Seamus, in my game with Seamus.
Yeah.
This one, it just went
Yeah.
roll 2, and then I'm just gonna cry in the corner.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
basically what happened.
The mechanic for the Warp Lightning Cannon now is you aim it at a target, you roll a d6. You want to roll low because that's the roll that you need to wound the target thereafter.
Yep.
So I aimed it straight at his big bad hero and rolled a 2. Great. Okay, so now I roll 6 dice, and anything that's above a 2 is a wound.
Yeah.
A mortal wound. There's no saves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nasty. And then I did the same thing to his Bloodletters. I just happened to roll another 2.
Yeah.
But then in the next game we played, I rolled a 5, and it did nothing.
Yeah.
So
You get one wound, I think.
no, it didn't. It did that. I remember that time it got nothing because it was a perfect counterbalance to what I did before.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, well here's
There is
nothing.
It's the randomness of that. You have chaos, pretty much. Of your randomness. Oh, you want to look at that too?
They're one of the few Sigmar models that I really do like as the new prosecutors.
Yeah. They look pretty.
I just
They
feel like
look
whenever
amazing.
they finish off a unit, they have to say the prosecutors rest their case.
Well, that's different.
For the record, they rest their hammers.
In your face.
They're one-handed hammers. Thank you.
Are they one? Oh, well, that's right.
That's the con.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my god, they're like the old Griffin Riders
right
from
from
Warcraft.
Warcraft, right? I was
Oh.
thinking the exact same thing.
Wow, we have officially crossed over.
Yeah, what's gonna happen? We're all
It
nerds
will.
here.
And on that bombshell.
Yeah, we do seem to have kind of come to the end of what we wanted to discuss today. Does everybody
Yeah,
seem to think we're where we're at?
Is there anything else you want to add in?
I
Didn't
did
want
have
to talk
a
about
question,
attack.
but I don't know if you want to like put it in the podcast.
Yes, new players.
Oh, what's the question?
No, my question was because Ashley had a really good point. Ashley is sitting over there.
Yeah.
Ashley had a really, really good point. Open it up and ask what everyone else wants to hear about.
I don't care what the
What do
internet
they
wants
want
to
us?
Oh, yeah.
I want to know.
If people want to ask questions, the comment section is open. I'm not closing that down. Questions, comments, concerns,
Well, I'm
limericks.
just saying if they have any questions for us in general, if they want to ask us stuff, or
Oh, yeah.
if they want to ask us stuff that we didn't talk about here.
Or say
That's
like, hey,
dangerous. That's the internet.
Yeah, right.
Asks for
Ooh,
questions.
big scary internet.
can we explore your boobs?
Well, okay, this is the first time we mentioned that I'm a woman.
Well, your voice would give it away.
I have a deep voice.
Yeah, no.
No.
I have a deep voice. Listen when it plays back. I have
It's
a deep
okay. You
voice.
still sound like a woman.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But that is actually a very, very good point. If there are things that people want us to discuss and look into, I'm a fan of looking into doing a narrative game where we do 3 or 4 games now, just because they have the blessings that carry over from battle to battle.
I'd just be
Things like
interested
that.
to see if anybody actually listens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but people were listening to our last one.
So we'll get people on this one too. And now that we've got 2, I'll put it out for my other friends to see.
Yeah.
So
You have other friends?
I do have other friends. Believe it or not, I hang out with people other than you.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, there are other people that dress up as rats and Skaven and get together.
Just
my
get
furries.
around.
Really? Really?
Why do you think we call him Pipsqueek?
Oh my gosh.
But okay,
I quit.
to rein it back in here, we're not just going to be talking about Age of Sigmar all the time. We're going to be probably bringing up some 40k stuff when they release new content.
Like
Roll
Zinch Damonkin.
Zinch Damonkin, Nurgle Damonkin are on the plate.
New
Slanesh,
Tau book.
Tau, of course. Chaos Space Marine book.
You're not excited.
Ah!
I love
You're
to
the
play
guy
the
who
polar opposite
Yeah,
of my
I know.
rats. But anyway, yeah, so we'll be talking about more Games Workshop stuff. In addition, weren't you and Seamus going to come on and talk about Attack Wing? Not tonight, but soon.
Oh, we have Attack Wing we're going to get into.
Lady Gamer segment.
We have Lady Gamers. We have the role-playing sets that we love to play. We'll rant and rave about that. I mean...
Role-playing sets we don't like to play? I'll bitch about role-playing.
Oh, God. So the ranting and raving.
Hackmaster. Sort of.
Warrior Rogue Mage.
Ooh, that's a really good one.
That's
for
actually
kids.
a game I imagine most people haven't heard of.
Exactly.
And that would be very fun for us to
we
talk
don our
about.
hipster glasses.
I don't have hipster glasses.
Me either.
No, AJ does. She's hiding them, though.
No, I don't.
Did you
They're
throw them
gone.
away?
I literally tossed them when you guys started teasing me because I used them to see once in your presence, and you teased me until the cows came home.
But yeah, I think next time we should talk about some Attack Wing.
Okay, we can talk about dragons beating each other up.
And I want to compare it to X-Wing.
Dragons and drunkenness. That's essentially what that was. Anyway.
Yeah, but I think that's good for tonight. We'll catch you all later on the flip side.
No, don't ever.
The flip side of the internet?
No.
The flip side of the internet is not where we want to be.
No, absolutely
The
not.
darker side of the internet?
No.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good
See you
night,
later.
everyone.
Have a good night.
One.
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 Have a good